Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, boys and girls, to the Uncomfortable Chat. I'm excited for you guys to have a listen to this one. Then we got a good one for you. Larger than life personality, CBS golf reporter Colt Knost joins us on the pod this week. I've known Colt for probably 15 years now, and it's been fun to watch him. Not only, we played a lot of golf together out on tour, but to see his transition going from the golf course, and he retired in 2020, to now being he has a very popular Sirius XM radio show. He has a podcast, Subpar, that's just killing it right now on the golf platforms. And then he's become a phenomenal part of the CBS coverage team, and he just got re-upped on a new contract. So it's phenomenal for him. And I think that he does such a good job out there, and I think it's very understated how smooth of a transition he's made from the golf world to right into the media booth, because it's not as easy as he makes it seem. But we touch all things on his amateur career as well. He was the number one amateur in the world while he was at SMU and coming out. He won the U.S. Amateur, won the Pub Links. Tons of expectations to go along with that, and he decided to forego the invites into the U.S. Open and the Masters to turn pro. But Colt, as always, has us laughing. The six-pack of questions at the end is great, and I think you guys will really enjoy this one. So, without further ado, Big Gravy himself, Colt Knost. Alrighty, folks, and I want to welcome on a very special guest. He's a three-time USGA champion, including the 2007 United States Amateur and the U.S. Public Links. He's played 199 PGA Tour events before deciding to hang it up in 2020, and has since taken his talents to the radio and TV airwaves, where he's become a highly successful podcaster and budding star on the CBS golf coverage team. Please welcome to the pod the Big Gravy himself, Mr. Colt Knost. How we doing, brother?
Weedy, good to be with you, man. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on. So I was a couple minutes late getting to the pod. My son and I were going through some geography homework, and you might be able to help me with this one. We're trying to figure out if Las Vegas is on the way between Cabo and Phoenix.
Not probably the quickest route, but you can make it happen. When you got friends in high places, they make it happen a little easier. I was down in Cabo playing a little fun event we call the Pros and Joes, having a good time down there when one of the guys decided he's going to fire up the bird because they're involved with Código Tequila, which George Strait, the great George, the king, is an ambassador for them, and he was doing his last show of the year up in Vegas, and Chris Stapleton was opening for him, so they said, "You want to jump on and go?" And I said, "Don't tempt me with a good time. Let's get out of here." Hard to pass that one up, but as you can tell by the voice, I'm struggling a little bit from trying to sing with King George all night.
Oh, I love it, man. Being a Texas boy, I assume you were a big George Strait fan growing up as well. That's a hell of a concert, though. You can't say no to that one, right? I mean, you're going back anyway. What's another night in Vegas, right?
Exactly. And first off, King George was a hero of mine growing up. And then Chris Stapleton, I mean, might be the best voice in music.
Yes, I agree. I can't believe Chris Stapleton opens for anybody but George Strait. It does make sense.
Yep.
A side note, give me your best three restaurants in Vegas, since I know you like to frequent the place.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be sponsored by Aria out there for about 8 years when I played with them. So I've spent probably too much time out there, but I absolutely love the place. Javier's, I'm a big Mexican food guy there in Aria, is one of my favorites. Carbone, Italian, the spicy rigatoni is just a staple. And then if you're going to go outside of there, my buddy has recently moved over. They're host over at Venetian in Palazzo, and there's a steakhouse called Cut by Wolfgang Puck, and I'm not kidding you, the best steak I've ever had. The place is phenomenal.
Now, what's the Cut, man? What's Big Gravy's steak of choice?
I don't even remember what it's called. I drive him nuts because I can never remember the name of the steak, but it's definitely something fancy. If
Yeah.
they're gonna pay, I'm letting them. I'm getting something fancy.
Amen
I
to
mean,
that.
it'll hit me probably like halfway through this thing, and I'll be able to tell you.
No,
And then
no worries, man. I'll have to
then
check
I'll get
that out.
hungry again.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't been to Vegas in a while, man. It's there's Vegas and I get along for about 3 days, and then I'm like, get me the hell out of this place because I can't say no to the nightlife. I just want to get out there, have a good meal. I mean, I wasn't a crazy partier, but I wanted to go find all the best food I could find. Obviously, this body hasn't turned down too many meals. This shit isn't by accident that I'm this far, overweight. But yeah, it's
Tell
a
you what,
great little town, man.
there's not many better cities in the world with better food than Las Vegas.
Amen to that, brother. Amen. Well, hey, man, I want to get things kicked off here with your amateur days, if that's all right. So you grew up in Northeast Ohio, or not grew up, I guess you were born there, and then quickly moved down to the Dallas area where you were certainly a good high school player, but, the big time colleges weren't banging down your door. What was it that drew you to SMU? And if SMU hadn't offered you a spot, where do you think you may have ended up?
Yeah, so I was honestly like looking for a place to play. Right, I grew up in a real small country town, 5,000 people. It was Friday Night Lights. If you've seen the movie, I mean, that's what I lived every single week. That town was all about football. The place, the entire town was at the stadium Friday night. The whole place, the rest of the city was shut down. Golf was not a big thing, believe it or not. No golf course. Closest golf course was probably about 25 minutes away. Had some buddies that played, fell in love with the game quick. I didn't pick up a club till I was 12 or 13 years old and just immediately said, I'm done. I'm focusing on this. Was hoping one day to maybe be able to do it in college. Had no clue. Got a couple letters from some real small schools. Started working with the great Randy Smith, who works with Scotty Scheffler. And, I mean, he really helped me a lot, calling a couple coaches for me. Was going to do a visit to Oklahoma and Texas Tech. And I got an email from Coach Jay Lord at SMU, who said, I watched you play the Byron Nelson Jr. a couple weeks ago. I saw you hit one tee shot. I like what I saw. Would you come down and meet with me? I went down, met with him. Got a little bit of a scholarship, but knew it was an hour from home. My mom, which was right down the road, so not too far away, go home, do laundry if I needed to. And Randy Smith was 10 minutes away at Royal Oaks Country Club. And I was like, man, if I want to play this game for a living, and I tell all these kids this now, there's no draft in golf, right? I mean, it doesn't matter where you go to school, you have to go earn it. You have to go through Q school, you have to go through the Corn Ferry Tour, whatever. And I was like, this is my swing coach. I want to stay close to him. I think this is where I have the best chance to succeed. And I got lucky, I guess, because it was. I mean, being around Randy those 4 years and then God knows how many after as I was a professional was a game changer for me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that I don't think the world understands how good Randy Smith is. I was fortunate enough. I played a lot of practice rounds with Martin Flores. He and I were good friends when I was playing on tour, and Randy was out there a bunch. Um, I think it's taken a historic ball striker in Scotty Scheffler to kind of get his name out there a little bit more. But I've never understood why more guys don't go see him because he's taught some of the best ball strikers on tour. Even like Ryan Palmer, it comes to mind right away. Ryan was always a great striker of the golf ball, but what is it about his teaching style that drew you to him, and what was it that he worked on with you that was that helped you progress up the ranks?
Well, he's old school, and I mean, he still is. He is not a big fan of technology. He's not the big TrackMan guru or anything like that. I mean, his biggest thing he always taught me was you let the shot create the swing, and that just for a good player. If I told you to go out there and hit a high cut, very rarely are you going to hit a big draw. Or if I told you to hit a low hook, are you going to hit a high slice? Like you're just talented enough to know that. But that was one thing. It was just he taught me more how to play golf than how to swing the golf club. Like he taught me how to manage my game, leave it in the right spot around the greens, get it up and down. And I think that's one thing that made me so successful in college and amateur golf, and then a little bit as a professional is I just didn't make a lot of mistakes, and I worked my way around the golf course. I wasn't going to overpower a place, and I had to go out there and kind of just break down a golf course, figure out how I could attack it, and not try to do what anybody else has done. And unfortunately, I think the game has changed away from that now.
Yeah, very much so. It's kind of gone away from the shot making, and now it's just bomb and gouge, or just hit it as far as you can, go find it, and hit wedges close. And for guys like yourself and myself, that we're trying to gouge 4 irons out of the rough on the occasional fairway that we did miss. I think it's a little different, but ball striking is ball striking. What he's done with Scotty Scheffler, and the fact that he's not changing his footwork around, is I always try to tell people if you look at the top 10 golfers in the world rankings. none of them have a perfect golf swing. You know, and everybody's a little bit different. You know, I love watching Rory McIlroy swing the golf club, but his swing and Dustin Johnson's swing and John Rahm's swing and Scotty Scheffler. I mean, all these guys swing the club so differently, but they're all efficient at what they do. You know, they're not sitting there trying to fight what their body naturally does. And I think that's a big thing with the tour. So many guys get out there and they think, I've got to perfect my golf swing. I've got to make it look like Adam Scott's when, you know, their body wasn't made to swing a golf club that way.
No, you're exactly right. And I think that's one thing Randy has always done. He doesn't want everyone to swing the same. He's not going to teach me the way he teaches Scotty or Dustin Johnson. Like, we're built different. Our bodies can do different things, like you said. And I mean, Scotty went to Randy when he was 6 years old. And I'm fairly confident saying the only person that's ever given him a full swing lesson is Randy Smith. And they've never changed it. I mean, it was like that since he was a little guy wearing his pants around Royal Oaks Country Club when it was 110 degrees outside, hitting incredible wedges. It's been so cool to see him grow up. Like I said, I mean, I met him then too. I was working with Randy, and that little kid followed us all over the place. Now he's the best golfer in the world. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I want to take a quick minute to thank our first ever sponsor at the Uncomfortable Chat, and that's Slipstream IT, a company redefining IT for life sciences. At Slipstream, they partner with a purpose and believe in the power of technology in the life sciences to enable people to live healthier, more fulfilling lives. You can learn more about Slipstream at slipstream-it.com. And now back to Big Gravy. So obviously you progressed it throughout the years at SMU, but you know, short of Ryan Moore's insane 2004 summer, your 07 resume has to be one of the best recent amateur summers in golf. U.S. Amateur champion, Public Links champion, and then later that summer you get to be on the Walker Cup team. Victorious Walker Cup team, mind you. And for those of you that don't know, the Walker Cup is kind of the Ryder Cup for amateur golf. And your team is arguably the greatest team ever assembled, with the likes of yourself, Dustin Johnson, Billy Horschel, Webb Simpson, Ricky Fowler, Chris Kirk, Kyle Stanley, Jamie Lovemark, just to name a few of them. But how was that week being in Northern Ireland? And how many trays of shots did you guys happen to consume at the after party?
Yeah, well, I'll get to the last part. I don't know if I remember all of it, but I have a pretty good idea what happened. But yeah, the whole summer was just awesome, man. Played well every single week. It was a life-changing summer for me. And then to make that Walker Cup team, that was the whole goal at the start of the summer. Like, I'm going to stay amateur through the summer and try to make this team because I want to represent Team USA. And going over there, man, I knew the Walker Cup was a big deal, but I didn't know how big a deal it was. Get over there. We land at 6:30 in the morning. Buddy Marucci has us go straight to Royal Dublin. Doesn't want us to get jet lagged. We played 3 days of golf over there before we went to Royal County Down. And I mean, it was hundreds of people out watching us play a practice round. Like, I had no idea that it would be like that. And then getting to Royal County Down, it got bigger every single day. The opening ceremonies, thousands of people, just incredible as your national anthem gets played. Just I get chills thinking about it. And then the matches get announced, and I'm the number 1 am in the world, and Rory McIlroy, the hometown kid, is the number 2 am in the world, and myself and Dustin Johnson are going out second, an alternate shot against him and another Irishman named Jonathan Caldwell. That next day, walk into the first tee through this what felt like a 500-yard hallway of roaring GB&I fans was just I was so glad Dustin was hitting the first tee shot. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And I got to share the quick story about Dustin's first tee shot. I love doing this because, like I said, alternate shot, he's going to hit on the odds. And we get over there, and the place is packed. There's going to be thousands walking down the fairways with us. And they announced the match, and they said, since we had the honor, I said, now on the tee, representing Team USA, Dustin Johnson. Like, he hits it before they finish his name. And I just start laughing. I go, dude, what the hell was that? He goes, bro, I was so nervous. I had to get that over with. And he hit it 400 yards right down the middle. If you've ever played there, it's a par 5, and I hit 7-iron into it off his tee shot.
Oh, good Lord. I can't imagine the nerves that come with something like that. I always watch the Ryder Cup, and it's just like, I have to see the first tee. I know you guys were up in Kohler a couple years ago, and what that experience must be like, just seeing that vibe and seeing everybody, bum rush the place and fill the stands that early in the morning. And I can't remember what year it was, but they made they started on a hole where you couldn't hit driver. And I'm watching guys try to hit whatever it was, 3 irons and 4 irons down that fairway. I was like, this is just
Paris.
mean. Yeah, I'm like, this is just mean.
Yeah.
Give him the biggest driver you can give him. Like give him some leeway. I would have hit that thing on the chrome of a 3-iron if I was putting that thing down. So no, that's I can't imagine what that was like, and especially as an amateur when you're not used to playing in front of those kind of crowds. Um, that must have been one hell of a moment for you.
It's cool, man. I've been to two Ryder Cups now. We worked the one at Kohler up at Whistling Straits, and then I went to Rome for the ass whipping that happened over
Oh,
there.
yeah.
But that first tee, I think the Ryder Cup is probably one of the most difficult spectator sports to go to, just because most of the days until the singles, there's just four matches on the course at each time, and there's 40, 50,000 people. So
Yep.
you're trying to follow around four groups, 10, 12 deep. You can't see anything. But
Yep.
that first tee, Friday morning, is one of the coolest things. Like I was nervous just standing there watching these guys. I remember Nicholas Colsaerts came out at Rome and he got the skull chant going, but he had him in the palm of his hand. So they went on his like how fast he was going, and he basically would just told them to be quiet or then go, be quiet, go, and it was awesome. I mean, he
Oh,
got the
that's so
place
cool.
rocking.
Oh, that's awesome. On a side note, how do you think New York's going to go as far as
Whew.
fan and crowd experience?
Man, it's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
I've played a couple of what was then Barclays in the playoffs up there. The fans they like to hear
Hmm.
themselves.
Uh-huh.
They're obviously going to be very pro USA, but if it's not going well, they ain't scared to turn on you. So it
Yeah.
could be interesting. I hope it just nothing happens. Like I be respectful, be louder than hell. Like let's get rowdy up there,
Yeah.
but just be respectful, please.
Yes. I'll be very interested to see how that goes. I don't know if they're trying to price them out with how expensive the tickets were. I think I saw $750 a day or something like
Hmm.
that to go to the Ryder Cup. But yeah, New York's going to get rowdy no matter what. And good luck, Keegan. I mean, no pressure, but the boys are they could turn on you quickly up there.
I'm pumped for him. I think it's gonna. That was a good decision. I think it'll be cool. He's gonna do a great job.
I agree. I agree. I don't know Keegan all that well, but I know after what happened the last with Paris, I know how excited he was to go over there and to have it not work out in his favor, and JT get the nod instead of him. It was obviously very sour grapes. I thought he handled it great, at least what they showed on Netflix. And
Yeah.
but I mean, what a brutal scenario, and thinking he already made it, and then find out he didn't. I was glad they gave him the captaincy. I think they needed a change.
Yes.
And I think that going younger like that's going to be really good. So,
I totally agree.
all right, bud. So, being the number one amateur in the world comes with a lot of pressure and expectations, obviously. Now, you famously decided to turn pro and to skip the invite to play in the Masters. And I don't want to harp on that decision because I still think you made the right decision. But what all went into your decision to turn pro, and how were you able to balance those lofty expectations?
Yeah, so I mean, I sat down with my mom, Randy Smith, my agent at the time, Blake Smith, Randy's son, and we just laid it all out. And for me, I'd been playing so well, like my confidence was sky high. I've actually been playing great golf for a year and a half, where I felt like I contended pretty much every time I teed it up. And being the number one am in the world, I knew I was going to get some spots if I decided to turn pro. Obviously, there was some waiting on me the next year, but there was three events left that fall. It was San Antonio, Vegas, and then out here in Phoenix when it used to be called the Fries over at Greyhawk. And I knew I was going to get
Yeah.
spots in them.
Played that year.
And yeah, and then there was Q School as well. And I was like, I'm playing so well right now. Like, I honestly feel like I can go out on the PGA Tour and win right now. I know it didn't happen, but that was the way I was looking at it. Is like, let's keep this thing rolling. I can go to Q School, hopefully get my PGA Tour card. Where otherwise, I sit around as an amateur. Golf's expensive. I did get offered a nice financial situation to help out me and my family. Um, and I can go to Q School. I can play probably 7 starts on the PGA Tour, no matter where I end up the following year, being the US Am champ. And otherwise, I sit around and wait till April for the Masters, which is the greatest tournament in the world. I'm. It sucks that I never got to play in it. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was definitely the right decision for me. And I went out there. I got a Corn Ferry card at Q School, won twice in the first year between playing on the PGA Tour and the Corn Ferry Tour, and finished 6th or 7th on the money list. And thought things were about to get off and rolling, and it just didn't happen. But there's no doubt it was a tough decision. Um, I got to go to I never had been to Augusta until a few years ago when I was doing the streaming coverage for CBS at the Masters, and I'll never forget. I mean, getting there for the first time, going out there, it was the year after COVID, so it was only like 5,000 patrons a day. Like, so the place was pretty empty.
Yeah.
And I just went out there and I got on one tee box and walked all 18 by myself. And I mean, it was so cool. It's just all those memories of amateur golf and everything coming back and being like, damn, I could have played in this great tournament. And then when I got to the top of 11 hill there and looked down to 11 green, 12 tee, I was just like, oh my God, I borderline got emotional. I was
Yeah.
like, this sucks. I never played in this. But like you said, at the time, I mean, you never expect anything. I'm 21, 22 years old. I thought I was going to play in a lot of Masters. I thought I was going to go out and have success on the PGA Tour. I had some, but not what I wanted and not what I thought I was going to have. But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to make the decisions best for you and your family. And at the time, that's what I did.
Yeah, and you got it. And that's what, all you can do is what feels right at the time. And looking back now, yeah, it's an easy decision now knowing what you know. But at the time, you're thinking, I'm playing the best golf I'm ever going to play. Why wouldn't I just, parlay this into hopefully a win on the PGA Tour, or at least getting a tour card, get up in the top 50 in the world rankings, whatever it might be, where the Masters is still a possibility that year, let alone the next, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it might be down the road. So,
I blame Zach Johnson, if I'm being totally honest, because he was the defending champion. And I was like, why do I want to go play with this guy from Iowa that hits it as far as I do? If
that's a good
Tiger would have been the
point.
defending champion, I probably would have stayed.
That would have
So
been kind of
Zach, it's your
awkward
fault.
watching both of you two just lay it up all around the golf course all day on the par fives.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't happen too much out there.
Nope. So Zach, your fault. You owe me
Yeah.
a trip to the Masters.
It
Thanks.
makes sense. Well, plus he snubbed you on the captaincy, right? Weren't you
Oh
pitching
my.
for the assistant captainship over there? Or?
Well, no, not really. I play in his charity event every single year up in Cedar Rapids. I've become one of the honorary mayors up there. We have so much fun, and they had the Ryder Cup trophy there before he was set to be the captain in Rome. And so I was like, we should take a picture and just joke that I'm the assistant captain. And he's like, yeah, I like it. And so we did, and it went nuts on social media. And everybody's like, wow. And so then I got a call from the PGA of America saying, can you please take that down? Because it's not true. So,
I never heard that part of it. I knew
yeah.
the picture was out there and the picture was going viral, but
Oh, they didn't tell me to take it down. They said, can you just please clarify that you are not
clarify that.
an assistant captain?
Leave it up to the PGA to kill the fun.
Uh, I'd have loved to have done it. That'd have been great. So
No
Keegan,
kid.
if you're listening, I'm available.
Yeah, exactly. They could use you, especially after what happened over there.
Yes.
So obviously you won twice, like you said, on the Nationwide Tour. You got back out of the PGA Tour. Now you've said in other interviews that you didn't see the success that you wanted on the PGA Tour immediately because you may have gotten a bit distracted with all the other opportunities and the life that comes out there. I think this is a huge thing for a lot of the young guys now that are, they're not used to being out there. It was one thing, but then also all the perks that come with it, with the courtesy cars and the hotels and the pro-ams and the parties at night. And I mean, just the stuff that comes along with having a PGA Tour card. How do you think you would handle that balance now, knowing what you know?
Yeah, a lot different. There's no doubt. I'll be totally honest. Like, growing up, I was a shy guy in high school. I wasn't chasing women around and all that. And even in college, like I was all about golf all day, every day. And when the run for me happened of playing so well in '07 and then winning twice on the Corn Ferry Tour, I was like, man, golf's pretty easy. Like, I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to roll it into winning a couple times a year and just have this great long career on the PGA Tour, be one of the best players in the world. And then I got out there and the money's different. Like you said, the cars, there's a lot more things to do at night. You get a lot more attention from other things. And yeah, it's different. It's definitely was a learning experience. It took me several years to get comfortable out on the PGA Tour. And when you're a young kid and you're making good money and living that awesome life of traveling around on the PGA Tour, playing in front of thousands of people every single day, it's awesome. There's no doubt about it. But
Yep.
you got to learn how to balance it. And I just didn't do that very well early on. And I don't think I worked near as hard as I did, leading up to professional golf and even that first year on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. Like you said, it's one thing you go there and not only do you want to stay on the range a little bit longer and you want to see, because there's club reps everywhere. They're just handing you things to try. There's people all around watching you practice, watching you putt, and you want to sign autographs. You want to do all these things. And then at night, it's like, oh, by the way, Darius Rucker's playing a Pro-Am party. You guys can go and have all the food and drinks you want, too. And it's like, instead of going home, relaxing, getting yourself ready for the next day, then you're out late doing that stuff. And, I did a lot of that stuff my first year on tour as well. And it's like, I'm not going to turn these down. Like, I'll sleep at some point, but
Yeah,
didn't work out so well. But yeah, it's same stuff. It's like, it's hard to turn down those opportunities.
It's out there. And I mean, look, the most important days of a PGA Tour event are Saturday and Sunday. The most fun nights are Friday and Saturday. Like you got to choose.
Yep.
And sometimes we all don't make the best decisions.
That was one of the dangerous spots I always found myself in, was about being 60th or 65th going into a Sunday. Sunday
Yeah.
was not going to go well. I just remembered I showed up at Quail Hollow the one year and twosomes on Sunday, and we were like third group off, and I was with Rich Beam. And Rich looked at me on the first hole and he goes, "Just to let you know, I have a 1:30 flight. I am going to make it, so let's go."
Yep. Beamer,
Yep.
one of the best.
Oh, he's the best. On a side note, in 2014, I was getting ready to quit golf. I just hated it. I was playing terribly. I was on the Corn Ferry. I played 13 there and had a mediocre year. Went back to the Corn Ferry again. I was like, I'm done. My wife's pregnant with our first son, and so I started getting approached about media. And ironically enough, CBS had called an old agent of mine and said, "Hey, who do you have? Do you have anybody that might be good with TV?" And they're like, "What about Wheatcroft?" And they're like, I actually know Steve. He'd be good. Is there any tape on him? And I said, "No, he's got nothing." So I started interning with the Golf Channel while I was playing. So I would go out and I'd play Thursday morning, and then I'd meet Beamer at the tent, and he'd take me out Thursday afternoon. I'd throw a headset on, and first couple of weeks I didn't talk much, and then after that it's like, "Hey, we're going to send it down to you." And hey, I was on the golf course 3 hours ago, and I can tell you exactly what's going to happen with these pins. And yeah, I fucked up the whole plan and won in Boise later that year with like 2 events to go. So I got back to the PGA Tour and played out there in 15 through 18. But yeah, I was getting ready. I was all set to do the media thing, or at least see if I was any good at it, or build some tape up if nothing else. But yeah, Rich Beam was my guy there, and I just remember he had to interview me after I won in Boise, and I walked over at him, and Beamer well enough. He's always ready for he's got some kind of a jab ready for you, and we'd become good friends. And he just looks at me, starts grinning. I go, "Don't you fucking say it. Just don't say it. Just give me a normal interview. I know what you're about to do."
No, don't get the good interview. I know we could have had some fun with that.
Oh yeah. Because he actually looked at me on Friday, and I think I shot 12 under the first 2 days in Boise. And I was like, "Beamer, what time we meeting later?" And he's like, "You're kidding, right?" I was like, "No, what time we meeting? Like, I need the tape. Like, we need more tape on me." And he's like, "Go home. Please go home. Go try to win a golf tournament." I was like, "Beamer, I'm not going to win a tournament. I'm playing terrible this year, and I just had a good couple days. It's fine." And sure enough, I beat Steve Alker in a playoff.
Well, I'm glad you won that week. That job might not have been there for me.
No, it wasn't. There was a lot of other things going on that I didn't realize with Oosterhouse and a few of the other guys that were they were moving people around, but I never would have sniffed that job anyway.
Well, not with that attitude.
No, well. Yeah, good point. Future Birdies is based in Charleston, South Carolina, and is a developing golf platform focusing on player wellness and performance, and is home to the #1 hat in golf. Visit futurebirdies.com to learn more, and be sure to enter promo code WHEAT for 20% off your first order. That's promo code WHEAT for 20% off. Future Birdies, aim high, go low. Now back to Colt Knost. So our PGA Tour games are kind of similar in the fact that both of us were naturally gifted with the swing speed of a 9-year-old. But we both worked our asses off and enjoyed the grind of getting better. And I remember watching you the one year at Torrey Pines, and you were in the top 10. And I said, they should just hand him the trophy, no matter who won, because that course is so different for you and I than it is for anybody else out there. And just the fact that you were in the top 10 meant that you were playing probably better golf than the guy who was leading. With how the game has changed since, we turned pro, do you think if I gave you a full tour card now, could you be competitive?
That's a good question. Obviously, I don't practice or work like I did back then, but I think if you broke down my golf swing and how I consistently hit the golf ball now when I play at home, I might hit it better now than I did when I was out there towards the end of my career, for sure. I mean, one thing, I'm healthy now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It has changed so much. Like, these guys are so good, and how far they hit it is just absurd. Like, I just laugh going out there and walking with guys like Rory. I had Bryson at the PGA Championship on Sunday when he made the run. I mean, Xander. It's like, these guys. I mean, and I play with a lot of them at home. I just played with John Rahm and Tony Finau the other day. I played the back nine at Whisper Rock with them, and I lasered them on every tee shot. And I was anywhere from 45 to 52 yards behind them on every single tee shot. And I was like, you just can't compete. from back
Nope.
here. Very few people can. So probably not. I mean, I would love to say yes, just being competitive,
Yep.
but the game's a different direction. I remember talking to the guys at Callaway about how, like in 1999, there was one guy that averaged over 300 yards off the tee. Like 2010, it was like 9, and now it's everyone.
Yeah.
It's just there's nobody that hits the golf ball short that comes out of college now. Like they're
Yep.
just not trained that way. They're trained different as juniors. I mean, they're trained. You hit it as far as you can, and we'll figure out how to go find it and hit it straight later. And so all these kids, I mean, they're coming out with 125 club head speed, and it's tough, man. It's special to watch. I kind of hate that, like guys like myself or like a Justin Leonard, a Corey Pavin, like those guys won't exist ever again. Like if they would have come around now, they're done. I mean, and I think some of maybe the artistry. I don't think we play with as much rough on the PGA Tour as we used to. All these golf courses are taking away trees. It's basically like, let's just tee it up and send it as far as we can, which I think is kind of unfortunate, but I also know people enjoy watching guys hit at 330 more than 270.
Correct. They'd rather see that drive, even if it lands in the rough, than, somebody, shaping a 9-iron around a tree or doing something like, the old school ball strikers used to do. But I agree completely. I think the days of Brian Gay and, Zach Johnson and Jerry Kelly and some of those guys that were out there when I got started, I think those days are done. Because it's so hard. I mean, you can compete 3 or 4 courses a year, and the rest of the time it's like, look, I can't be 40 or 50 yards behind you. I mean, granted, you're already 40 ahead of me, but now you're hitting 2 less irons than me to begin with. So now it's like a 5-6 club difference.
I mean, look what Jim Furyk did in his career. I mean, he's, I think, fourth or fifth all time on the money list.
Yep.
That's unbelievable how good he was.
Yes. And, I practiced with him a bunch down here in Jacksonville, and I've seen him, and it's just the way he shapes a golf ball. It's unbelievable, and the control he has on it. But, it works in certain courses. But, to your point, the fact that he won that much money doing that and where the game's gone, it's remarkable. So this week, I was out at TPC today, actually. I work out of the clubhouse some over there, but Q School is going on this week. And they'll be giving away 5 PGA Tour cards and a bunch of Korn Ferry Tour cards. Now, understanding the game the way that you do, is there a better tournament to watch all year than Q School? And what are your thoughts on the pathway to get to the tour now?
No, so I absolutely just hate that Q School's not the way it used to be.
Yes.
If you're a sicko like me and a bunch of my friends, like that Monday, the final round, the 6th round, whoever made it 6 rounds is an asshole. I'm sorry. Like, why you had to just torture us for 6 days, because we've all gone through it. But it's some of the best TV in golf all year.
Yes.
I love that a guy could go. I mean, out here at Whisper Rock, we have so many aspiring professionals that are caddies. Like, you can go from caddying at Whisper Rock to playing on the PGA Tour. You can go from, being a valet guy to being on the PGA Tour. Those stories don't happen anymore. And I was against it when I get it for the Korn Ferry Tour. Like, if they wanted to stick around and put up all the money they do, like, they wanted to be the pathway. And I love what they've done. I think guys that spend a year on the Korn Ferry Tour are much more prepared than the guys that just make it through Q School. There's no doubt. You're learning how to be a professional.
Yep.
Learning how to travel, be on your own, all that. But I think it's very unfortunate. I'm glad they added the 5 cards back. I don't think it's enough. I just look. I was one of those guys. I double bogeyed the last hole at Palm Springs to think I missed my PGA Tour card, and because Roberto Castro and I believe Mark Anderson already had their card but went to improve their number, finished ahead of me, I moved up to 25th and got my card. Like, I honestly thought in 2000, that was the winter of 2011, I was like, I'm done. Like that, I was just gut wrench. I was bawling and scoring. And then I think Brad Fable, he's like, hey, you're good. You're going to finish T25. And I mean, it was wild. So
I remember that actually. I think I was there as well.
I've been that guy that was the one people were watching coming down the stretch because he's the one who could puke it off. Yep. And I just love watching guys going out there and birdieing the last 3 to get a PGA Tour card. And then you see in the interviews how much it means to them. I just love it. I wish we'd bring it back. I thought it was really cool. But hey, they don't really care about the little people anymore.
Nope.
It's all about the stars. That's what drives your game. That's what makes the money.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. I get asked all the time, what was the most nervous you've ever been on a golf course? And without a doubt, it was Q School. 2006, I went to Palm Springs as well, and I shot 75, 71, 73, something like that. I was in 120th place or something like that. I was just trying to get a full Korn Ferry Tour card, and then I went 65, 65, and was in 22nd. And I just remember I went to sleep. I fell asleep pretty early. I woke up at whatever, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and I just rolled around the rest of the night because I'm like, holy shit, there's a chance I could get a PGA Tour card out of this. And the thought never even crossed my mind all week. And I went out and shot 67. I ended up finishing seventh, I think, overall. But standing on that 17th tee, the island green, I had Ernie Lopez caddying for me. And I just remember looking at Elo, and I'm like, if you ever had a joke, now's your time. Like, please give me
do something.
Do something. Don't let me just stand here.
And holes like that are awesome, but when you're playing for your livelihood and knowing, okay, I'm pretty comfortable right now, but if I somehow soup 3 balls right here, it's all going to come crashing down.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I had that story that year at Q School because I'd never been successful getting all the way to the PGA Tour through Q School. I think I went 3 times. But this time in 2011, the first hole on the Nicklaus course, the tee shot, I just did not like. It did not suit my eye. And I woke up every 30 minutes. The night before that final round, I was like 2 shots inside the number thinking of that first tee shot. And I'm like, what is going this brain is powerful, man. All of ours. I mean, I thought Joel on our pod talking about his Saturday night before going out and shooting 64 at RSM at Sea Island to keep his card, where he woke up and started looking at ShotLink and everything and seeing where he needed to be on the FedEx Cup, how many points he needed to earn to get his card in the middle of the night when you're getting ready for one of the most important rounds of your life.
Yep. Terrifying, to say the least. All right, bud. So one thing you always seem to do when you were out on tour was have dinner with other players, reps, and possibly find some nightlife afterwards. I say that in a positive way, and that I think that the camaraderie on the PGA Tour has dwindled completely, and it's a very lonely place of hotel rooms and DoorDash. All jokes aside, how do those nights help your mindset while being out on the road for weeks at a time?
Yeah, it's a lonely spot, right? I mean, as you know, the hotel room, I talked to Padraig Harrington about this. The hotel room is a very dangerous place. Like, just being in there by yourself, alone with your thoughts, just you and TV, laying in bed. Like, everyone sees the PGA Tour as just this, and just all professional sports is just incredibly glamorous lifestyle. And it is for a lot of people, but it's also not for a lot of people. Not everybody's flying around private, staying at the Ritz, eating fancy dinners. But you get out there, you get lonely. And the way I treated it is, like, I always had a high school team, had a college team. Then all of a sudden you're out there and you're like, oh, I'm by myself. Like, I'm my boss now. And so I always wanted to be around people. I've always felt that way. It didn't matter who it was. I would talk to a stranger, eat dinner with a stranger. I didn't care. But I always wanted just to be around people and just get my mind away from the grind of golf. Like, it can beat you up out there, especially when you're not playing well. So I always just wanted to be out and about, like, not doing anything crazy. Like, I played hungover twice in my 8 years on the PGA Tour, and one of them was a total accident. The other one was on purpose because I played so bad on Thursday. But yeah, it's just it can get lonely out there. I mean, especially, like, I'm married, I don't have kids, but being a young guy out there where your kids are young or your kids are going to school and you're out there away from your family, where that's your support system, it's not easy. Now, it's what I dreamed for my whole life, so I'm not going to complain about it. Yeah. But it's tough, man. You play 5-6 weeks in a row. You're out there, hotel every week, a lot of, like you said, room service. You go to the wrong hotel at night. You go to the last week's room number because you get all confused. For sure. But yeah, man, I've always been big on just having a bunch of people around me at all times, whether it's going to dinner, going out. Like I said, Tuesday was one of my favorite days of the week. I just loved walking up and down the range, talking trash, and then getting the game going.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. That's it's kind of a lost art out on the PGA Tour now, and I keep hearing these stories about how there's 24, 25, 26-year-old kids that are out on the PGA Tour. They're making millions of dollars, and they hate it. They're miserable. And, I wish the Tour would do a better job of getting these guys ready for what they're about to face instead of just like, hey, man, we got a brand new prize pony here. We're going to march him out there and, hope he plays good golf. But at the same time, like, these are 24-year-old kids. Some of them are, Dunlap, Nick Dunlap's what, 20? 20 years old. He's ready for this. Maybe he's not, but I mean, he got pushed into the limelight now and he's won twice already. It's like, there's a lot going on out there that, 20-year-old kid's probably not ready for. So,
well, I think that's one reason why, I mean, there's the superstars. You get the Justin Thomas, the Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler coming out of college. These can't miss kids. Most of them succeed, but I think a lot of really good players that get out on the PGA Tour at a young age, it takes them a few years. I mean, look what Matt Kuchar did. It took Matt Kuchar a long time to really find success out on the PGA Tour and get out there and be comfortable because it is a different lifestyle. And yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You should have someone help. I think the tour should have someone out there helping you prepare and stuff like that because it's not easy. That's why it's so impressive to me. And that's what I hate that we're going to this 100 tour cards now because I just think it's so impressive when these rookies can go out there not knowing where to stay, never seen the golf course before, and they go out there and they keep their card. Like that's goal number one for every rookie. I don't care who you are, except for maybe Tiger Woods. But keeping your card is number one. I was so frustrated with like the playoffs going to 70 because imagine coming off the Korn Ferry Tour and they're like, "Hey, Steve, you're going to finish 78th on the FedEx this year." You'd be like, "Where do I sign up?"
Yes.
Like that's good. I keep my card. I'm in the playoffs.
Yep.
Now you're not even in the playoffs. You have to go play all the fall events. I hate that it's the direction it's going right now.
I agree completely. And they're taking care of the top guys out there, and rightfully so. Those are the ones that drive the needle. And but at the same time, there's a lot of other guys out there that maybe aren't going to get those chances to play really well. Like the Wyndham Clark's a great example. Like he might not have gotten into the PGA Championship or might not have gotten into the U.S. Open, and then he goes out and wins the U.S. Open. And
he would have not been in. His first win was Wells Fargo when it was Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow.
Yep.
It was a signature event, but it was a full field that year. All of them were. It was a 156-man field. Yep. He would not have been in the field if it was the way it is today. Therefore, he wouldn't have got the PGA Tour win. He wouldn't have been in the U.S. Open. Like all that changed. I mean, the signature events are great. You get the stars together.
Yep.
The first year we had them, they were full fields, and they were by far the best ones we've had so far.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know. There's obviously a big disconnect there, and a lot of it is live based and trying to figure out how we can balance this and take care of the guys that stayed. But at the same time, it's like we just want to see the best players in the world play, whether that's 70 players or 140 players. Like 140 players, you're going to get some great stories in those other 74 guys or 70 guys that you're not going to get now.
Hey,
so,
I mean, I can beat this thing to death for 5 hours. I mean, it's I just don't understand these 70-man fields. I never will. Their big thing with what they're coming out with now is to help the Korn Ferry guys make sure they get starts and all this. I'm like, okay, then let's make every field 120. And therefore let these Korn Ferry guys play their way into these signature events, to these big money, big points events. Like I want to see that. There is no buzz out there on Thursday and Friday at these no-cut events.
Correct. Yeah, and they keep preaching about the Korn Ferry, but then they also just took away 20 cards. 10 cards. They're down to 20 now. Yeah. So it's like, okay, you keep talking about more spots, but now you're cutting the PGA Tour fields back and you're letting 10 less guys out there. So I don't know.
And look, I'm all for taking care of the big dogs because that's who the people are there to see. But just give the little guy a chance. I just want a fighting chance.
Yep. Chip in a chair, right? So I want to make sure I give some pub to your podcast, Subpar. I think it's awesome. I think I've listened to every episode. It's just, I always throw podcasts on when I'm driving, and you guys have knocked it out of the park. So give me a quick story about how you and Stoltzy got this thing going. And I think you guys have done such a great job there. And how was that transition to get that thing started?
Yeah, it was cool. So I was actually hurt at the time when I got a call from CBS about possibly doing some TV time. And I got 3 events through them. I was going to do the Golf Channel coverage Thursday, Friday, then early Saturday, Sunday. And my first one was going to be out at Riviera. And I got a call from Scott Greenstein at SiriusXM. He's like, "Hey, I've never met you. I'm going to be in LA. Would you like to have lunch? And let's talk about some stuff." But sure. So I met him 10 minutes in. I had lunch with him and his wife. He said, "I'm going to give you a show 1 day a week for an hour. You want to try it?" And I said, "Yeah." I was like, "Can I bring somebody on as a partner?" And he goes, "It's your show. You can do whatever you want." And so I called Sleaze, and I was so excited leaving the golf course. I was like, because we've been talking about doing something together.
Yeah.
And I was like, we got a chance. They're giving us a show 1 day a week. And I'll never forget it. I think we started maybe the week before the Masters. I got Jordan Spieth to come on our radio show for 15, 20 minutes, talk about Augusta, and it just took off. And then shortly after that, we got a call from golf.com about doing a podcast. We're like, we've never done one. We don't know how it's going to go. Yeah. We'll give it a try. And I mean, luckily where we live and what we've done, there's a lot of big name people out here that are really cool. And we got John Rahm to come in the studio, rap some Kendrick Lamar. on the show the first time, and we just had so much fun with it. And I think that first episode did like 50,000 views, and no one even knew what the hell it was. And I was like, okay, we might have something here. And
That's
it's just
awesome.
been unbelievable, man. We have so much fun, and the serious show turned to 3 days a week, 2 hours a day. The podcast, we do 50 a year, and
Yep.
we're having a blast. It's just me and him are a couple of idiots that just like to have fun and sit down with dudes and just have a conversation
Yeah.
and get to know these guys. I tell people all the time, like they're great golfers, but they're also great people that are also kind of normal. Like we had an episode with Jordan Spieth. We filmed it at Royal Oaks Country Club in Dallas, and Jordan had 3 beers doing it. And people are like, I can't believe Jordan Spieth's sitting there drinking beer. I'm like, he's a 20-something-year-old Texan. Like,
Yeah.
that's what they do.
Yeah.
It's an off week.
What do you expect him to do?
Yeah, so it's just, man, like, we just like to chop it up, have fun, tell some good stories. But we're so lucky. You never know. I mean, if we have a different guest on that first week, what would have happened?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, just the right person watched it at the right time, put it out there, and it took off. But it's awesome, man. I laugh at every tour event I'm at now. I mean, I just get yelled big gravy and love subpar walking down the
Yep.
fairways more than anything. Get asked to do more pictures and autographs by a million now than I did when I ever played.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, you got to teach me how to get a guest to rap Kendrick Lamar, especially John Rahm with the accent. Yeah, I remember hearing that one. I'm like, he's actually doing this. I can't believe they got him to do this.
I think we've had 2 people sing. Brett Baer, also, God, the songs. I'm blanking on the song right now, but we
Was
had
he the
Brett
one that
Baer
was
do
just
the whole
on?
thing. He was on. We had him on it during the Tahoe event out in July, but
That's right.
he loves singing karaoke, and he does this one song. "Rapper's Delight" is the
Oh,
name of the
yeah.
song, and Brett Baer does the whole
Wow.
thing, and he's good at it. It's funny.
Wow. That's awesome. Keep it going, man. Karaoke with the guests is that's always going to get you ratings.
We're trying to get more of them to do it. A lot of them are a little shy.
Yeah, well, Fleener, will sing. Postman's
Oh,
caddy.
well, he sang as well. He counts.
Yeah, he's a beauty. All right, bud. Well, I know you played a ton of Tuesday practice rounds with some of the best players out there. You're not afraid of a good money match. Have you ever had a pairing in tournament, though, that was a little intimidating for you?
Not really, just because I mean, I think we're all there to do the same job, but it was one thing that was really cool for me is I played the PGA Championship at Baltusrol in 2016 when Jimmy Walker ended up winning. But the weather was so bad, we didn't repair on Saturday and Sunday, and I got to play both rounds with Phil. And they love him up there in the Northeast. I mean, we made the cut on the number and had 5,000 people very early in the morning on Saturday down the fairway, and that was really cool. I mean, obviously during a tournament, the trash talk isn't quite what it is during a Tuesday practice round. That week, I flew in Saturday. We played a practice. Phil and I played a practice round on Sunday, and then Tuesday, myself and Justin Thomas played him and Jordan Spieth. Then we get paired together on the weekend. I'm like, I'm kind of actually sick of looking at you. I've spent a lot of time with you this week, but it was awesome.
That's really good. It's funny you say Phil because that was the one of the only times that I got super intimidated, and I was trying not to be, but we're playing Quail Hollow the one year, and I shoot 65 the first round. I'm leading. I think I shot like 68 the second round. I'm in third place. Phil's in fourth. And sure enough, we're second group off Saturday at Quail. And you know how the crowds down there are phenomenal. They love to pack the place. It doesn't matter what time anybody's going. But, Phil goes to the first tee, and I was still on the putting green, and I started to try to get my way over there, and I couldn't get through. They had to literally like start moving people around. I'm like, guys, I'm in the group too. Like, I promise. Like, let me in there.
Excuse me, guys. I have to go play.
Yeah, I have to go play. I'm with that guy over there that you guys are all clapping at. But we got up on the first tee, and I just remember looking down that first hole, and I'd played it, 30 times at that time. And I looked up, and I'm like, oh my God, this looks so different. There are 10 people deep on both sides of each fairway, or both sides of the fairway. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a different round of golf here. And sure enough, I give myself the little pep talk, like, come on, man, let's just get off to a good start here. You'll start playing golf. You'll be fine. And next thing I know, I'm 4 over after 4. And I'm just like, get me the hell out of here. And
it happens, man. It's all the sports psychologists. I mean, I know you've had Bob Rotel on. You're not supposed to let those things affect you, but it's different when you're not used to it every single day. I mean, these guys, those top guys, that's what they play in front of on practice rounds on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and especially at events like that where they got some of the best crowds on the PGA Tour.
Yep.
And even for me, like doing TV now, I get adrenaline coming down the stretch. Like if my guy that I'm covering has a chance to win the golf tournament in front of those big crowds, I feel like even my calls are even bigger and have more energy
Oh,
than
sure.
just if it's a kind of a quiet Sunday afternoon at not one of the bigger events.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. And I mean, you got a bunch of good buds out there that are still, winning, whether it's JT, Xander, Jordan, guys like that are at the top of the leaderboard a lot. So I'm sure it's even harder for you pulling for friends versus, you just want it to be good coverage and good golf. But at the same time, if it's one of your good friends, and I'm sure that can add a little bit to it as well,
Oh
or
yeah.
add a little to the call.
Yeah, you're definitely rooting for your buddies out there, but I just want whoever I'm with to have a chance coming down the stretch, and I want it to be exciting. Like us at TV, I mean, we don't really like the eight shot blowouts. Those are kind of
Yeah.
boring coming down. You get what happened at Valhalla this year at the PGA Championship with I had Bryson's group in the third to last group, and then Dottie was with Xander in the last. Like that place was electric.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Oh, that's really cool, man. Well, I know you got to get running here shortly. We're going to hit you with a quick 6-pack of questions, and then we'll let you go. Number one, if I made you a producer for The Match, but we're going to air it on HBO, you get 4 teams of 2 competing against one another. Which trash-talking, big gambling characters would you bring in to fill the field? You can go golfers or celebrities.
Well, I think Kiz will be involved.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what he's going to do at NBC. Barkley is the best.
Yep.
Blake Griffin is going to be involved. He is hilarious. I don't know. They didn't promote this last celebrity match very well that was down there in Florida that Wayne Gretzky won, but Blake Griffin stole the show, as did Nate Bargatze, who is funny. Probably bring Pat Perez in a little bit. He's hilarious, and it's on HBO. You can say whatever you want.
I love Perez.
I think Bryson's going to have to be involved with what he's doing now. He's going. People, I mean, what he's doing in the content game is fantastic.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, MJ's been my number one forever, and nobody talks better trash than him. I have no idea how many people that is so far, but
you're close enough.
I'd say just because I love having fun with him and I get to work with him every week out on CBS. Frank Nobilo is going to be involved somehow. He might be just like carrying my drink or something, but he is definitely involved because I love Frank.
I had a question here that I was going to say that I love the back and forth you and Nobilo get going here. It's awesome. And
you know what's funny is some people think we don't like each other.
Oh no, I see the opposite.
Hilarious to me.
Yeah, I just love that you guys have to jab each other going into commercial breaks all the time or something along those lines. It's awesome.
I mean, we've had some of our bosses be like, "Hey, are like y'all okay?" And we're like, "Dude, we're just trying to make it fun."
Yep. No, he's one of the best guys out there. I think he's one of the most underrated guys in golf coverage, and he's so good at what he does. But it's nice to see you guys open each other up a little bit here and cut loose.
Sure.
By the way, on a side bonus question, is there anybody you tiptoe around your trash talk to? Like anybody you're nervous to talk shit to?
No.
Okay, I figured.
No.
Had to ask.
Why not? I mean,
yeah. What's the worst they're gonna
do? A big name guy, I'd be like, "Oh, cool, so and so talks shit to me. Perfect."
Yep,
I like it. But if you can get them, they remember it.
Oh yeah, yep, for sure. Number 2, being the great putter that you are, what is harder to watch online? The 3-putt at Sawgrass to shoot 62 and break the course record, or watching your good friend Riggs go through his putting drill videos with that horrific stroke?
The one at Sawgrass hurts because now that Tom Hoagie did shoot 62 and has it by himself, that one hurts. But Riggs' putting stroke is disgusting.
Oh my god!
I'm like, dude, you need some help with this thing. But I love him, man. What they kill it.
I know you guys are boys. I can't believe you haven't pulled him aside and be like, just let me fix this because I can't watch it. It's brutal to watch.
It's not great. Funny story about that 3-putt at Sawgrass, though. Obviously on 18, lip it out, get scoring, turn phone on, first text, the Seagull, Charlie Hoffman. Nice 3-putt.
And for those of us that know Charlie at all, not surprised in the least.
Not at all.
By the way, I'll let you do this one. Give me the background on the nickname Seagull because this is the best nickname in golf, and I'll let you do it justice since you're one of his good friends.
So I didn't make it up. I will say that. He claims the original Seagulls were John Mallinger and Bill Lundy, who played on tour for a long time. But the whole thing is Seagulls fly around and shit on everybody. And that's what Charlie does. I mean, he is just
So good.
for everyone that knows him very well knows he can be a seagull, and it's the most perfect nickname of anyone I've ever come across.
Yes, 100%. As soon as I heard that, I laughed out loud because I'm like, that's perfect for Charlie.
Yeah.
Number 3, more wins in 2025. Scotty Scheffler or the Dallas Cowboys?
Oh God, that one hurts my heart a little bit there. But I'm gonna say Scotty Scheffler. Cowboys suck right now. That's
Yeah.
depressing.
Yeah, and who knows what
That's a
Scheffler's
good
going to
question
follow
though.
this up with. Yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I don't know. You guys better do some overhaul there and figure out what the hell. Parsons is gonna lose his shit here soon.
It's not gonna be good for a while. I'm just prepared for it.
Yeah, yeah. So number 4, I want you to rank the following 3 putts from best to worst. Tiger, 18th hole, Torrey Pines to force a playoff. Justin Leonard, 17th hole at Brookline in the Ryder Cup. Colt Knost, third green at Torrey Pines en route to a T16 in 2016.
In a hurricane out there. I mean, that was just the most
Unbelievable.
ridiculous conditions ever. Um, I mean, their moments were much bigger than mine. My putt was just insane in some ridiculous conditions. Justin Leonard's to do it at the Ryder Cup all
Yep.
time. I'm tying him and Tiger because Tiger to make that putt on those greens
Oh, yeah.
to get in a playoff at the U.S. Open was, I mean, that ball was bouncing all over the place.
Yes.
I don't think there was one person watching or one person around the 18th green that thought he was going to miss it.
Correct. And by the way, for our listeners, if you haven't seen it, just go to Google, type in Colt Knost, Torrey Pines, and the video comes up. The winds were blowing about 60, and the putt's incredible. And then just turn it off before Billy Ho starts running around the green.
Dude, that day was insane. I've never played in conditions like that.
No, that was ridiculous. Didn't Snedeker shoot like 69 or something that day?
Yeah.
Now, I know he got the better end of the draw, or he didn't have to play the whole day in that win, but
he shot 69 in the group in front of me, yeah, and went on to win. He's, I
Yeah.
believe, the only PGA Tour player to not hit a shot on a Monday finish and win.
Oh, yeah, good call.
Yeah,
Didn't
because
even
he
think about
finished on
that.
Sunday.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. All righty. Number 5. So you've never shied away from a beverage. In saying that, what takes longer, the time it takes Colt to chug a pint or the time it takes Clemson to get down the field for a game-winning field goal?
Well, I don't remember exactly how long it was that took them to get down the field
16
the other
seconds, I think.
night. Okay,
Who's
then they
counting?
win. Yeah, they win. I think I can get it down in about 20. At least I used to be able to. I haven't done this in a long time. But yeah, I used to be able to get one down.
That was more of a jab on your SMU ponies. Was it
Yeah,
too soon?
No, hey, it's been an unbelievable year. We're going to the playoffs. I'm happy.
That's true. If you'd told me that SMU and Indiana would both be in the college football playoffs the first year around, I would have been like, not a chance in hell.
Yeah.
Good deal, man. Well, number 6, last question. I asked this of all the guests. So if 39-year-old Colt could go back and tell 22-year-old Colt the things that would allow him to live a fulfilled life, both on and off the golf course, what would he tell him?
Man, I think I'm doing it, honestly. Or maybe get into this media world sooner so I wouldn't have been stressed out for so long playing golf. But I tell everybody, like, my dream was to play on the PGA Tour. I did it, but I don't think it's what I was meant to do. I think I'm doing it now. I've got an awesome wife. I love waking up every morning and getting to work, which I don't think a lot of people get to do that.
Yep.
And that's why I feel like I'm so damn lucky, man. I get so excited to go to work every single day, whether it's SiriusXM, the podcast, or out on CBS, watching the best players in the world. I couldn't be happier.
That's awesome. Yeah, we had Michael Collins on a few weeks ago, and he answered it the same way. I said, that's the answer of a happy man right there.
Yeah.
So that's
why not?
That's good, dude. Well, hey, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on, Colt. Keep killing it at CBS with the podcast, with SiriusXM. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Enjoy all those fun trips to Cabo and Vegas. And actually, I gotta ask you one other question because I heard this story today on the way out of TPC. Someone told me about a time that you and Monty Montgomery were hanging out back at Shadow Creek. They said you were several beverages in to the point where you're almost spilling them on yourself. And then they said, let's do it closest to the pin on whatever that 90-yard shot is. And he hit it to 5 feet. And you said, why didn't you tell me you were going to hit it so far away? Just hand me the money. And then I guess you hit it into like a foot and you said, I'll do it again. And then he said over the next 5 minutes, you hit like 11 balls inside 5 feet.
We've had a lot of fun back there. They put the pin down there in the bowl, and it's like 90 yards off a mat, and it's a perfect lob wedge for me that
Okay.
catches the slope and goes in. And so, yeah, I've won a lot of money out the back of that clubhouse.
Yeah. The guy was telling me the story today. It was Piercy's caddy, not D-Woo. It's one of his new guy now. But he's like, I stood there and I watched this thing. He's like, I didn't know if Colt could stand up to hit the shot. And next thing you know, he stuffs 11 straight wedges in there and took like $2,000 off of Monty.
Maybe that was all part of my plan. Maybe a little.
I wouldn't put it past you, bud.
Yeah.
Well, hey, man, I enjoyed the time. And thanks again for coming on, dude.
Hey, dude, and seriously, proud of you for everything. That article you wrote was awesome. Really enjoyed reading it, and congrats on getting this thing started.
I appreciate you, Colt. Thanks so much, man.
You got it, buddy.
All right, man. Be good. All righty, folks. That was the comedic Colt Knost. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. It's always fun talking with Colt. Yeah, I thought that was a great pod. I thought, Colt could talk to anybody, and as he said, and it's fun to watch how well he's doing out there now. He's just living his best life, as you could tell by that last answer to the 6-pack. And yeah, he's enjoying himself out there. He's having a blast, being involved with the game he loves, and getting to watch all of his friends play golf, and being able to be a large part of that in the broadcast booth, and also in the Sirius and podcast world. But yeah, had a lot of fun with him, and looking forward to big things from him this year. I think he's going to do great out there, and only build his brand bigger and better. But want to thank Colt again for coming on. It was great to have him. Good to see him again. And yeah, we'll see you guys all next week for another episode on the Uncomfortable Chat. I think we got a couple of good ones in store for you coming up. Yeah, keep coming back, keep listening, keep telling people. Appreciate it. Take care.